Queen Carvania stood haloed by the morning sun. An army hung on her every word.
My champions, I have sold my chariot on Carvana. 'Twas a lovely SUV, an inexplicably queenly offer. They're even coming to the castle to collect it. Tonight, we feast! An offer you can feast on. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5 KSL Sports Zone. We're joined by Jim Williams, longtime sports media producer, director, and executive. Jim, good morning.
Good morning, boys. How you doing?
We are doing well this morning.
Hey, before we get started, one question. Which one of you guys did the covered high school sports in Los Angeles?
Me.
Patrick
okay.
Kinahan.
Did you ever go out and watch Mater Day play?
I don't think I did. No, I think that was a little south of where I was. I covered L.A. City schools.
Oh, okay, cool.
Modern days in Orange County.
Yeah, Modern days in Orange County, and they basically used to be a pipeline. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Yes, they have been known to be a football power. There's no question about that.
They've sent a few kids to USC.
Many.
Right. Jim, you had you were on social media yesterday, and you were talking about keep an eye out. Here's the post on Twitter, on X. Keep an eye out when MLB expands. Salt Lake City is quietly becoming one of the hottest sports towns in America. Sports Business Journal just vaulted Salt Lake from number 44 to number 12 nationally, ahead of some legacy markets on its best sports business cities list. You cite the Jazz, RSL, Olympic infrastructure, and an aggressive event strategy, which traces back to the Utah Sports Commission. So I'm curious, what has changed, or did the number just kind of catch up? Is that something you do every year? Has something changed in the last year? Or maybe sometimes the whole, the image catches up with reality at some point, and so that's why the big jump in numbers. What's driving that?
I think a lot of it, guys, is people are discovering Utah. I've been there many times, and you come back, you tell people what a wonderful time you had at Salt Lake, and I think that what's driving it is that look at the attendance. Look at the attendance at the Mammoth hockey games. The Jazz have always been strong. And then you've got, of course, Real Salt Lake, which you guys talked about earlier in the program. So I think it's really a matter of image. People are getting to understand that, Utah and specifically Salt Lake City is a hot sports market. There's numbers are numbers, whether you want to argue them or whatever. But I know a lot of people, think, well, gosh, Salt Lake, no baseball's down. Of course, there's no reason that can't be.
How do you think that affects the colleges as they want to continue to grow their brands?
It helps because, everybody, this is a really small business, okay? And at the end of the day, you want to be where you're going to be appreciated. And you can't do that if you don't look at it and say, okay, look, this is a fantastic up and growing market. What's it going to do? It's going to help the University of Utah. It's going to help BYU. It's going to help Utah State, Southern Utah. It's going to help the entire region.
I do wonder about colleges in the direct shadow of pro teams. Partly because I grew up in San Diego, and I saw what it did to San Diego State. I was literally home for the 98 World Series. The Padres are playing the Yankees, and that's the days when you have these huge special newspaper sections because they could make a ton of money. And San Diego State put an ad in it. And they're like, come see the game next week. And I'm like, well, you're trying. You're doing the right thing. But the game they had to promote was, I think it was UTEP. And it's like, wow, the Yankees are here for the World Series. I'm pretty into it. Even I'm like, that's not much. But what are they supposed to do? That's who they were playing. And I just look at, Houston and Houston, it's better to be Texas and Austin. I look at Cincinnati, Xavier, Cleveland State. It's better to be Ohio State and Columbus. Right? Florida and Florida State. It's better to be in your small college towns than to be Miami in Miami, where unless they have a great team, it is really hard for them to draw 50,000 people. So is there a problem with being right in the backyard and too close together?
I would say different. It's a difference in baseball and football. If you're talking about professional NFL football, that's a whole different ballgame. But you're not. You're talking about baseball. Baseball's played for the most part when football isn't, and unless you get into the postseason. So I really don't see if you told me tomorrow that Salt Lake was going to get an NFL franchise, then I'd have another different answer for you. But there's no correlation really in baseball versus college football or college basketball.
You had a piece also, too, on BYU and their ability to continue to grow as a brand. Could you go into detail on what that is about and how beneficial that is for them and maybe what it could mean down the road?
Yeah, sure. I mean, for many years, as you all know, BYU was independent. And there was a guy, a really good, smart programming guy, back when I started in this business when dinosaurs roamed the earth. And his name is Frank Carney. Now, Frank Carney was in charge of Western Pennsylvania, Maryland, West Virginia. And he used to like to get, back in those days, you could get tape delay football games because you couldn't do it. You could only have 2 games live and then a regional game. So he decided, you know what, I'm going to program football all day long, even if some of it is tape delayed. But then there was BYU having their own TV network, and it was a Pac-12, late after dark, before the Pac-12 after dark exists. So there were a lot of people who remember the 1984 team, that won the mythical national championship. So there was a lot of people who watched BYU football long before they even knew where BYU was. And so I think that was a big help to them. And I think that you still have some BYU, followers, much like we call them Subway alumni, who've never been there, but they still like to watch and pay attention to them.
College football, CBS and Fox have the Big Ten and the SEC, and there's a lot of talk about Big 12 ratings and are these teams watchable? And even when they get good time slots, when they're not playing in that 8:30 after dark kickoff local time here, which is 10:30 in the East, and obviously people are going to bed, and so a lot of the country doesn't see those games. But when they move them up to like 1:30, they are frequently going against massive games. And I just think people in those parts of the country are going to watch the local/regional team, not the team from the other side of the country. Is there any way to get around that? Are any of the schools out here ever going to be ratings powerhouses? I mean, maybe USC and Oregon, depending on who they're playing?
Yeah, I think that, again, it's brand. It's hopefully it's what they brought Brett Yormark in for, because that's what Brett's a very good promoter of the conference, and I think that will help them. There's very little you can differentiate. It's like, okay, fine, we get an early game, whether it was Colorado a few years ago when Dion just got there. This is going to sound cliche, but winning solves everything. If you got a team in the top 10 and they're playing hot, then there's no reason to believe they aren't going to get ratings. The last couple of years of the Pac-12, their ratings weren't bad at all. And as I say, and that wasn't just USC and UCLA and Oregon. So I do think that there's a place for that. For both. You guys have 2 outstanding programs in Utah and in BYU. So I think that at the end of the day, we're going to see a lot more of that. But look, guys, we're changing. The whole thing is changing, and that is, it's all going to direct to consumer. For now, you talked about earlier about wanting to watch the home run derby last night and going to Netflix. It's not going to get simpler. Streaming is now a part of what's going on. So if I want to watch Utah play football or I want to watch BYU play football, I'll have that opportunity. I'll pay for that opportunity, but I will have that opportunity.
One of the cool things since we've been here, because we came here a year apart in the 90s from California, is to see, you talk about that brand, the University of Utah, known as a basketball school for many, many years, and to see its brand grow as in football has just been awesome. For me, I've gotten to cover the Fiesta Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, 2 Rose Bowls, and all that. So to see this brand come from where I came from, and it was not much coming from Arizona and California, you didn't know a whole lot about Utah football. Now, I mean, it just exploded. I mean, it's been rising as well as practically anybody's. What do you think the brand is for Utah as it tries to grow, and maybe whenever there is some form of expansion or divide line between, if they ever get to that point where some schools are in the power and some get left out, as far as Utah being on that right side?
I think the key here is, as I said before, coming to Utah and watching sports was phenomenal. Or producing and directing sports are great. I think this is going to sound silly, but you need better PR. I mean, when I tell people what a wonderful time you can have going to a Utah football game, is that the setting is gorgeous, and teams have always been good. So I think it's more of a perception, and you need to really pump more about what Utah is all about. The University of Utah. Not that they don't try, but I don't think they're doing it as well as they perhaps could. Not that they need my opinion on it, but I do think that once you start paying attention to them, it's very much worth your while. Just the same as BYU.
Jim Williams joining us, longtime sports media producer, director, and executive. One thing I have heard from people who are way deeper into this than me and know a lot more about it than me is that basketball and hockey here, there isn't that big a risk because they get so much money from their national TV deals. Baseball does not. And so if we get baseball, the local broadcast revenue becomes way more important because it's such a big percentage of the total operation. Mm-hmm. Do you think that's true? Is there a risk with baseball coming here, or do you think it will absolutely succeed when it shows up in Utah?
I have no reason to believe that it wouldn't. And I say this as a fact that it's attendance also makes a lot of difference. You guys know because you were on the cutting edge. Utah basketball and, of course, the Mammoth took everything on air, over the air broadcast. And that's been nothing but successful for them. So I think that baseball in the state of Utah and Salt Lake City is, in my mind, it's a no-brainer. You've got a phenomenal group of fans in the area, but then again, regionally, you have a lot of fans. And so I would say that, you're right that's a problem everybody's getting in baseball themselves in this new deal that's coming up in 2028. Some of the reasons that they took over all of the Major League Baseball productions, all but a few of them in the regionals left, was because they want to bundle it and package it in a way where they'll get some of that money back. They'll claw it back. It'll take them a while, but they'll get some money back. So to them right now, people coming to the ballgame is the key for a lot of these franchises.
How much do you think TV is going to drive what happens in college football going forward?
A lot less than it used to.
Really?
Yeah, and I say this because what we're seeing right now is the Big Ten and the SEC are getting the lion's share of the money. You were talking a little earlier about Netflix and trying to figure out where the games are going. I think that there's a reset time. Right now, there's a saying here in Washington that basically those who are talking don't know and those who know aren't talking. And I think what we're seeing here is a bunch of universities who want to be in either the SEC or the Big Ten. But Tony Petit is somebody I've known and worked with for 30 years. He's not stupid. He's very calculated in what he wants to do. And so I would say that right now, as of today, the Big Ten and the SEC have ideas, and they're running a number of different scenarios. But at the end of the day, I think that we're going to find that college football and college sports will still have a strong place, but we're going to see a lot more streaming of it than we probably ever have, and certainly in the 2030 plus cycle.
The Big Ten looks like it's on the verge, to me, looks like it's on the verge of taking everything over. They've got more money. The SEC doesn't seem to be interested in expanding nationally. You know, they'll add states like Texas and Oklahoma, but they want to stay contiguous is the word they always use, right? Use a state right next door to one they're already in.
Sure.
They're in Arkansas and Louisiana. They'll go to Oklahoma and Texas. They won't go any further. The professional leagues that truly are national have 8 teams in 10 Western markets. And it's all a little different. You know, basketball's in Sacramento and baseball's in San Diego. And obviously hockey and basketball are here in Utah. But all of the leagues find a way to get into at least 7 of the 10 markets. So they're a national league so that everybody has a horse in the race. If the Big Ten's going to do it, can they just add Stanford and Cal and be a truly national league? Do they need to be in Denver, Phoenix, Salt Lake City also? What do you think?
No, I don't think they do. I think that they have a strategy, which is they already have 4 brands in the out west that, you know, are, and you can argue that UCLA isn't the brand that they used to be, and that would probably be right. But SC and Oregon and Washington, you know, make a pretty strong Western group. Now, again, this is just me speculating. If they decided to go west, then certainly Utah and Arizona State would probably be their targets out west. I don't think that Stanford and Cal had opportunities to join the Big Ten, and well, more Stanford's situation on Cal, and they chose not to. So I'm not so certain that I wouldn't put my house on it for betting that Utah and Arizona State are going to get the invites if they do expand. But you know, a long shot's better than no shot, right?
Yeah. Well, why'd you select those 2?
Because 2 reasons. 1, the programs are successful. 2, you were talking about Kenny Dillingham earlier.
Yeah.
And Arizona State probably has more. If Arizona State was in the Big Ten, when people would go to the games and Penn State would be out there, Michigan's out there, Ohio State's out there, I'm not sure that there would be more fans in that beautiful stadium down there by the mountain than would be there rooting for the home team. So I think that has to do with it. I think the mountain time zone is always an important thing for for the conferences to have. So you have all 4 time zones. So I think all of that plays into it. And I think that do I know where they're going to expand? No, I have no idea. But if they are going to go west, to me, Utah makes a lot of sense, and so does Arizona State.
Yeah. So many Big Ten alumni in Southern California and in Arizona. They are everywhere. So I totally get that. I'm curious if you believe that these sports leagues can go overseas. Both the NFL and the NBA, they're looking at doing it differently, but they're both going there. With streaming, are they just looking ahead thinking, hey, we're moving beyond the U.S. TV networks and cobbling together networks overseas to go to an Apple or an Amazon or a Netflix and to be in Europe and in North America? Does that make a ton of sense? Are they really ahead of the curve here?
I think with the global brands you just brought up, Apple and Prime specifically, they're not afraid to push the boundaries. And I think that the NFL deal, which by the way is coming up soon, we shall keep an eye out for that. The NFL deal probably is going to have at least 6 to 8 games that are going to be played in Europe. They're finding some traction. But I don't know that it's ever going to be successful in Europe, right? It's like, to me, I liken it to an NFL bowl game. You get to go overseas and hang out and have a good time for a week, and then fly back here and play football. So one of these streamers are going to get that 9:30 slot. Then you've got the 1 o'clock, the 4:30. I'm talking Eastern Coast time, so 1 o'clock, the 4:30, and then of course the nighttime game and Sunday night, and then Monday Night Football. So there's only so many, and Thursday, I forgot that. There's only so many time slots you can fill. But at the end of the day, I do believe what we're seeing is consolidation, guys. I mean, look, we don't know yet whether the merger between CBS and Sky, Skydance is going to come off. But if they do, then everything that's TNT right now goes to CBS, and CBS will take control of it. Just because they consolidate doesn't mean they have more budget. And there's only a certain amount of money that can be spent on TV sports. And right now, I'm looking at what's going to happen with the NFL. They want to be upwards of 150 to 200 billion dollars. To get there, some of these networks are going to have to shed content because you just can't pay all that money for and not have it, mess up the bottom line in another way. So there's a ripple effect here. But college football and college sports will always have a place. I do believe one of the reasons Apple was heavily involved in wanting to get to Pac-12 was because so many of the players in the Olympic sports are actually from overseas. And so it has some sellability. The NBA, for sure. I mean, you can't go anywhere in Europe and not see a Steph Curry jersey, a LeBron James jersey. It's what David Stern did, with that process was, genius in that regard.
Jim, we'll leave it right there. We appreciate the time, and I know there are a lot of baseball fans in Utah who hope you are right about expansion, that it's not only going to happen, that they will flourish.
Well, if I can, I'll get out there and see you guys, and we'll go to a ball game. Maybe.
All right, look forward to it.
Hopefully in the near future.
All right, thank you, Jim. We appreciate it.
Anytime, brother.
All right, Jim Williams, longtime sports media producer, director, and executive. DJ and PK coming up, top of the hour. Brian Taylor, Real Golf Radio, talking Open Championship at 9 o'clock. Stay with us.
Welcome to This is Jay Scott and Ben Anderson.
Covering the Jazz for the Deseret News, she is Sarah Todd. I don't think Jackson Hayes is the solution. Nurk, I'm not sure if he's a solution either. What do you think the Jazz do as far as center going forward?
None of that is going to be a solution long term, right? But anybody that thinks that the Jazz going into this particular season being a legitimate title contender, that's not realistic. It doesn't have to be that the Jazz have their perfect center for the timeline for this team right now. This Jazz team needs to be able to prove, as constructed, that they're able to win games. The expectation is still, you make the playoffs, you definitely need to be a play-in team like at worst. Yeah, down the road, the center position is going to need to be fortified a little bit, but that can happen over the next few years kind of as they ramp their way up through the Western Conference.
Catch Jake and Ben afternoons from 2 to 6 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Queen Carvania stood haloed by the morning sun. An army hung on her every word.
My champions, I have sold my chariot on Carvana. 'Twas a lovely SUV, an inexplicably queenly offer. They're even coming to the castle to collect it. Tonight, we feast. An offer you can feast on. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.
Question of the morning, PK. Off a Keontae George interview, Keontae thinks that the quality of the Jazz defense will shock people. Do you believe it? See, he is assessing in that statement the fact the defense was not good, and people definitely noticed. Yeah, he knows it, and he knows everyone else knows it, but he also absolutely believes that it is changing, and people are going to be surprised by how much it's changing.
What he said.
And I think all of us have lowered our expectations since Kessler left. Because
he made the comment after Kessler left.
We have seen in this market, certainly to different levels, but Mark Eaton certainly, everyone.
He's a beast.
Yeah, you got Mark at the rim. You can get out, gamble in passing lanes, pressure guys, and if you get beat off the dribble, Mark's there to fix it.
Yeah.
Then Greg Ostertag. And then Rudy Gobert, and now Walker Kessler. And Ostertag.
It bothers me that you overlooked Felton Spencer, but
I did.
Go ahead.
It was so brief. And the thing with Ostertag, for all his flaws and his ups and downs and all that, the reason Jerry put up with it is because the size and shot blocking, he did provide that. Even on the nights he didn't have a lot of energy, he's still a tall guy and it intimidates people. They never know.
I would throw Gobert in there, too.
Absolutely, I did. Yeah. Gobert and Kessler.
The three best. Now, Kessler he never really got to show it in full bloom.
No, but we all expected it because we saw out of the previous players.
Yeah. I mean, Mark Eaton is the standard. He'll be the standard probably for a long, long time. And Keontae George knows that. He knows full well that Kessler, what he provided, he was a teammate of his for 3 years. And he didn't play. Kessler didn't play last year, but still he knows it. And they're going to have to find a way to substitute for that. But it seems like they've got that ability. And I appreciate George saying that because right now...
You put yourself on notice when you talk like that, right?
When he talks, it doesn't seem like he's talking to talk. It's like he's talking to say something. And he's being interviewed. They come to him, or however it was. You want to do the interview? Yeah. And so he does it, and he provides some real information in his answers. And it's like he's a must-listen now when he's being interviewed, particularly now when we're not talking about game after game after game, and it gets a little mind-numbing as those guys are looking to shower and get home or shower and get on the plane and be on their way, right? Now, that's not the case. So he's in a more relaxed environment, and when he says something, he provides insight. And when he says the word, and I believe he said the word shocked because it caught my ear, and I listened to it watching the game on Sunday night. And with that in mind, I'm thinking, okay, now is that a possibility? Well, when I look at the athletic abilities of the collective group, maybe it's a show me thing, and I don't have as much faith as he does, but I can see where he's coming from because there is athletic ability at every position, literally. And in some cases, phenomenal athletic ability at the positions.
Looking at you, Ace Bailey.
Yeah.
Looking at you, Darren Peterson.
They just jump out at you.
Yeah. And obviously, Jaren Jackson Jr. comes in as previously having won the Defensive Player of the Year award. So,
yeah, and that's good for him on the back end. But obviously, defense starts on the front end. And the ability to prevent the breakdown of the team concept, I think, is the number one aspect of a defense. And basically, to boil it down in simpler terms, how well can you stay in front of your guy?
That is super basic and that is super simple, but you can never underestimate how important that is.
Right.
Because once you get in the scramble and then the rotations aren't right, and Tom Nasalki used to gripe about that nonstop. All this stuff about the rotate, we got to get our rotations guy. How about you stay in front of your guy? Stay in front of your guy. Because if you do that, everything gets simple.
It does, but it's also arguably the hardest thing to do because of the skill level now of these kids coming into the league, and then the vets are already there.
And the fact that so many people are running pick and rolls now, if you can stay in front of your guy and they want to shake your guy, they're going to do the pick and roll and they're going to make you switch or trail or whatever, and they're going to run something that puts you in a scramble. But anything that they have to run that takes a couple more seconds to run, you only have to defend for 24 if you can rebound. You only have to defend for 24, so anything that takes a couple more seconds off the clock, whether it's how quickly they come up court, how quickly they're able to start it and get into it, they'll take that advantage.
And then they have the ability to shoot over the top, and some of these guys have such quick triggers. So it's hard. Even if you do, and we hear this, I think Thurl said it, used the expression in the Summer League up here, good defense, better offense. It happens.
But the whole range, and that's all true, and you can't stress over any one possession until you need that one at the end of a game. But over the course of the game, you're just talking about the margins. Like, everybody in the league defensively, 34% of the shots go in from three. Nobody has 39% of the shots go in against them. But in that margin, when you're trying to hold a team from shooting 38.5 to get them down to like 34.5, that's the whole thing. You spend all this energy on 100 possessions so that 4 shots don't go in. That's the whole thing. That moves you from the worst in the league to the best in the league. And you just got to accept that, hey, some of them don't go because some shots just don't go. And some of them are going to go in because everybody gives up buckets. You can be I don't know, whoever.
Yeah, I think you can say that about a lot of sports. If your ERA is just one run less, if you got 10 more hits over the course of 450 at bats, So,
and that's where
that's out there,
and that's why the playoffs are so different than the regular season. Because in the regular season, in both sports, you can really go to the analytics and like, hey, are you gonna get 150 or 200 hits? Are you gonna get 20, 30, 40 home runs? Are you gonna hit this many threes and all that? But then you get to what you love to say about the baseball playoffs. Comes down to pitching, defense, and timely hitting. Because you can have outliers in 4, 5, 6, 7 games. And that's why we get upsets. Because a pitcher who's mediocre can have a great game. And a batter who doesn't have a lot of power hits one home run in the right situation. A guy who's not a great shooter gets hot from the corner for 1 quarter of a game, and he swings that game, which in a close series can be enough. Get you the one road win you have to have. Mm-hmm. And so the analytics don't hold as much power in the playoffs because the sample size is so much smaller. The numbers over time, over 82 games, over 162 games, the numbers are going to be what they're going to be. The Aaron Judges of the world are going to hit their 40-plus home runs. And the Steph Currys of the world. But, man, when it gets right down to it, is Curry going to hit those 3 3-pointers in the fourth quarter of the gold medal basketball game at the Olympics? Because even Steph Curry misses them. But is he going to hit those 3? And the analytics don't matter as much. It comes down to sample size and good habits and handling the pressure.
I want to see what these guys do really, really intensely. I want to see it. I want to see what these guys commit to winning, what their commitment to winning looks like, not their commitment to stats. You know, you hear the expression, stats are for losers. Mm-hmm. I think basketball might be the best example of that, of all the sports.
Because you can get your 20 points, and your team only scores 85, and 85 doesn't win you anything in the NBA.
Yeah.
But you got your 20, and you can walk up, well, I scored 20.
You got 27, but you took 25 shots. Mm-hmm. And so what is your commitment to winning? How serious is this group going to be in terms of wanting to win? And what level of sacrifice are you willing to make for your individual game? I think that's what it comes down to. Each of these guys, and it's going to be the guys. It's not going to be the owner. It's not going to be the GM. It's not. I don't even think it's going to be the coach. The coach has to set the standard. But then what level of commitment do they have? Because in this sport, I was listening to the NBA Network driving in this morning, right? Mm-hmm. And they're talking about LeBron going there. And remember a guy named Austin Carr played in the league? Yeah. He kept saying, it doesn't matter who you have. If they're not willing to share the ball,
that's so true,
then they can bring in whoever they want.
Yep.
And it's not going to be there. And he kept hitting the point over and over and over.
He's right. He's 100% right. If you don't share the ball, you get super easy to defend. And guys tend to pout. I'm not getting the ball. That guy's selfish. And then they don't rebound as hard and they don't defend as much. And everything falls apart.
Yeah. So that's what I want to see. The whole, how the pieces come together to make the whole is going to be fascinating. But what is going to be each individual, every player, what is his commitment to winning going to be? Because now I can argue, certainly take Jaren Jackson out of the equation, but everybody else, and maybe arguably take Jaren Jackson out of the equation, but to me, certainly he's the only one. In my mind, everyone else has never played on a team with this much talent. Yeah. And so how are you going to make it mesh? And what are you going to do? Because it can't be statistically you get yours. If that's the mindset, I'm not saying it's anything close to it, but if that's anybody has a hint of that,
it wrecks everything.
That becomes a major problem.
It wrecks.
But if you're really committed to winning, and it doesn't matter who is doing what, as long as it's getting done, then I think this team has a high ceiling.
And that's why Keontae talking about defense is so important, and that's why if you're looking for one stat, and stats won't tell you everything, so it's not enough to just. But the one stat they have to be good at then, tell me about their rebounding. Because you can defend all you want. If you can't rebound, they're just going to get putbacks, and it's not going to matter. And if you get the rebound, now that's another possession. And for all the guys who want to score, tell me if you're going to have 80, 85, 90, or 95 possessions. How quickly do you get the ball back and get another possession, which is another shot, and depending on how you rebound, maybe 2, for somebody to score and get the buckets they all crave. And if you have the ball, they can't score. It's pretty simple. You want to be a good defensive team, rebound. You'll have more possessions, and you won't be giving up these putbacks right at the rim. So how good a rebounding team is this going to be on top of everything else? And that's been a criticism of Jaren Jackson Jr. He hasn't been a great rebounder, but in this era of chasing down, missed three-pointers, everybody can be a great rebounder. There's you could be a 6'2" guard coming off the bench. You can still run down a missed three-pointer. Go get it. It's the days of you got to be 7 feet standing right at the rim and throw an elbow in clear space. There are rebounds like that. The one that we all remember from the NBA Finals that Mitchell Robinson got, that was an old school rebound in traffic. Go get it. But you still need to run down the missed three-pointer because Steph Curry could pick it up and hit a 20-footer off a long rebound pretty quick. Uh-huh. So you got to go get it. All right, top of the hour, Brian Taylor, Real Golf Radio, Open Championship. We'll talk about that coming up at 9 o'clock. Stay with us right here on The Zone.
And now, a look at traffic from the KSL Traffic Center.
2 lanes are now open eastbound I-80 and Parley's Canyon. Traffic being a plateau with delays from 1300 East and Sugar House, reaching until a mile or so past the Corey exit if you try to get towards Park City. Also, the I-215 eastbound also backed up. You'd be trying to use that as an alternate, so add some extra time if you're trying to get up into the mountains this morning. Looking for a new ride? Doug Smith offers great savings on new and used vehicles, big selection, great prices, and great people. Visit them in American Fork, Spanish Fork, Linden, or at heydoug.net. With your KSL traffic update, I'm Jake Hatch right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
3, 2, 1. This is Scotty G and Coach Tim LaCombe.
Nobody cares about the score. Washington did beat the Jazz 92-88. AJ DeBonsa, his first game in Summer League, had some moments. Darren Peterson still put up the points, but not quite at the level and quite the efficiency that we saw in the 2 games in Salt Lake City. So everybody out there is like, oh, AJ won that head-to-head battle.
You've got to remove loyalty, which is hard to do. And I think in this case, there's a lot of people that are torn in this valley because, one guy, AJ, played here locally, and then obviously Darren being picked. So I just actually sat back like a coach would sit back, and I watched it. And I think what AJ showed is what AJ can do. Basically, on one end, AJ was kind of being AJ, and on the other end, Washington was hell-bent on not even letting him get a catch.
Catch Scotty G and Coach weekdays from 10 to 2. Presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Evening. Buyer's remorse. Buy a new car? I'll be moving in. Let's get started.
Sorry, I think there's been a mistake. I bought it from Carvana.
You what?
Yeah, great price. I even have 7 days to love it or return it.
So there's no...
No buyer's remorse. More like buyer's rejoice.
I guess I'll let myself out. Congratulations. I mean it.
Buyer's rejoice. Buy your car today on Carvana.
Limitations and exclusions may apply. See our 7-day return policy at Carvana.com.
Join Scotty G and the coach Tim LaCombe tomorrow from 10 to 2 at the Bar Dub Grill off exit 222 in Nephi. Earlier in the show, we had Jim Williams on, longtime sports media producer, director, and executive. He was talking about Major League Baseball. He was talking about the growth in the Utah sports market. It's a place he's been to. It's caught his eye.
Yeah, I've been there, too.
Rankings thing. Yeah, you live there. Yeah. And he talked about Big Ten expansion down the line and said, keep your eye on ASU and Utah. And there's certainly the politics and the size of the media market in the Bay Area about Stanford and Cal. He's lukewarm on Cal, which I think many people are for a lot of reasons.
They don't add anything.
Their lack of commitment to sports is a major flaw, a major stumbling block.
I think you have a connection to them, so they're important to you, but
no, they're not. They're not important to me.
Well,
They
you
might
brought
be
it up.
important to UCLA.
No, they're not.
I get it. They get brought up there in the major media market, but they're not committed to sports.
We already know that. I don't know why we're talking about it. I want to talk about ASU
He
or
said
most importantly,
Stanford.
Utah.
He said Stanford had a chance and turned it down.
Right. So
Right.
they're dead.
He brought up ASU and Utah. I don't think 4 teams in the western half of the country is enough to make the Big Ten a national league, if that's truly what they aspire to. They could just aspire to be in a really
So they want 6?
a really six or 8. You know, are they going to do divisions? How big are they going to get? Are they going to raid the SEC? Is that even possible? Would they do that?
Oh, boy, why would
Every
the
other
SEC
league
teams want to leave?
More money. Are they going to be worth more money?
More money is only more money.
I
It's
get
not
it.
more success.
But the money and the success are often linked. The richest teams tend to win more. They don't win it all.
I think that's very rare, though. I don't think it's often. I think it's rare. Most of the Big Ten doesn't win. It's the exception if you win, and it's the same teams when the money wasn't nearly as big that was bigger for them, so they have the brands. You have to have a brand. Money doesn't give you a brand. It just gives you money. So you got to be careful what you do. What did it do for some of these teams to join the Big Ten and get slaughtered each week?
So do the bigger brands in the SEC think they need more money? If they've already got the brand, did they think, hey, if we've got the brand, do we need more money? So there are options out for the Big Ten depending on what they want to
the
do.
world is their option.
But yes. But how badly do they want to grow in the West? And are ASU and Utah the teams?
I don't know.
I mean, I think if they throw out the feelers, there's at least 8 schools raising their hand. Pick me, pick me, pick me. And as Tom Homo said a long time ago, everybody knows. They know all the numbers. They know all the background. So you can say whatever you want, but they've pretty much done the homework.
BYU is dying to go to the Big Ten?
I don't think they want to be left behind if the Big Ten goes big. But there is a whole thing out there that the Big Ten won't raid the SEC and that will just go from 4 to 3 teams, 4 to 3 leagues in the next decade. And in that case, the Big Ten maybe isn't picking anybody out here. And I think everybody else in the swing of the country would be in whatever the Big 12 ACC thing turns out to be.
You didn't answer it, but I don't think that BYU is dying to go to the Big 12. I mean, the Big Ten. Make the Big 12 as big and as attractive as you can. You are in a great situation. Go with that. Make that as good as it could possibly be. Hire the brightest people, whether it's your mark or whomever it is down the line, to blow up your deal and provide it with the resources that it needs, and away you go. And so they can't ignore you. And you won't be left behind.
That's basically been your Mark's point all along.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right. Too big to be ignored, and you guys aren't covering the whole country. And the fact that you grew up in Jersey and college sports isn't big in the Northeast, that's not just a PK rant during the show. That's something media executives and conference executives are well aware of. And so the danger of doing that to the West and leaving it behind, they got to include it some way, somehow. There's too many millions of homes and too much money to be made to ignore the western part of the U.S.
I didn't give a crap about college sports to the 80s.
And that's because you were in the West by then. And you had teams. You'd been on campus. And
it was really when I moved to California, started working at the good old Daily Breeze.
And USC and UCLA
people. And all the guys in there, they had teams.
And they were
I got a team. I'm gonna and then my second year, they freaking make the Rose Bowl.
That's right, your wheelhouse.
I know. It was on. And now I can taunt these guys?
I can taunt the entire room. I'm going to piss everybody off. And they can't say anything.
Right.
This is awesome, man.
And we were the little guys.
Yeah. Well, certainly in relation to them, absolutely. You're brand new to the league. You'd only been in 5 years, whatever it was.
This
7.
is fun.
Yeah.
And it was on from there.
So what does the West look like? And can they really get in? I think his point about all those Big Ten alumni down there, because the alumni, keeping them connected and getting money out of them is part of the magic. It's not just the media.
Yeah,
it's not just the media rights.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons I hate Ohio State is because they come to the Fiesta Bowl and it would just dominate the town.
Yeah, but they are coming from Ohio, but they're also coming from L.A., and they're also coming from Mesa and Tempe and Glendale and Phoenix and Scottsdale.
I understand. Yeah. You see it.
And it's over and over, too.
With the Cubs in spring training.
Yes. Yeah.
There's
so many Midwesterners.
It is a Cubs town in the month of March. If you want spring training tickets, the day they go on sale for the Cubs in January, whenever it is, you better get on there.
When I was in Sacramento, I went down to spring training, the first time I was ever at spring training, and I did not understand the magic because I grew up in San Diego and the weather was always good, so it wasn't the magic it was to everybody else. And then I went down there, and Sacramento was cold and gloomy and foggy, and we went to a Cubs game to cover it, and I could not believe that place was sold out, packed. And it wasn't like a sellout, but there's all these empty seats because there's no shows. Butts were in seats.
Mm-hmm.
People were there wearing gear and fired up. The energy was great.
Yeah.
All right, DJ PK, when we come back, Brian Taylor, Real Golf Radio, next on the Open Championship. Stay with us.